Hey Gemini, this one's for you. Okay, I'm trying to sound all really serious here because there's this huge cluster of planets piling up in Sagittarius, your opposite sign, in December, and there's Mercury retrograde too. So I'm trying to sound very, very serious, so that we don't get carried away thinking that December is just going to be an easy time. Okay, I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just trying to be serious. All right. So we're shuffling to the last second so that you're a witness. Cards were well shuffled in advance, but I want you to see. No jumpers, no flyers, no oracles, not even any reversals. Sorry, we just keep it simple here. Very simple. We focus on love. We focus on love and healing. We focus on the healing power of love here. This is just a general energy reading. Whatever comes out, it's just a story. I invite you to do what people do here is watch your sun, moon, and rising videos, and even cross-watch for significant others in your lives. I learned about that too. So go for it, get the full picture and then make the best of it, okay? So like you might be a Gemini moon or a Gemini rising watching this. That's what I'm trying to hint at here. Mush it all together. Reinterpret to suit you, okay? Tarot Illumination is not a fortune teller. We're just reading energy, okay? Cards are shuffled. We're going to cut. All right, Gemini. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Really like to break up the deck so that there's no little clusters. This would be the heart, pulsing, 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 with perhaps not even any language. It has almost like a life of its own, and of course, in a really healthy way, the heart is very aligned with the body, the soul, and the mind. Full consciousness. Over here is legacy energy, history, the past, baggage, whatever you're bringing in with you. Might be years of stuff. You've been going through this opposition thing, Saturn in Sagittarius, in your house of significant relationships for the last almost 3 years. So you might have get pounded. You might have been really pounded in relationships, but you're going to be coming out of it soon. So we'll see what shows up here. Over here is the energy of now. This is like you living through December, okay? And making the best of it. There is the past, there is the so-called future, but we're always in the now, and it's in the now where we make our decisions, okay? The energy of decisions here, on the understanding that we live in this human existence where we have this thing called time, and all our opportunities lie in what we call the future, unless, of course, you're an archaeologist or you do gold mining and you're looking into the deep past in the buried earth for good stuff. Anyway. In the present is when you make your decisions. And hopefully you're a Gemini who does not abdicate your decisions to others or to fate. Okay, we're going to make the most loving decisions here. How do we do that? Okay, and so what happens when you do that effectively? This is the energy. If you outsource all your decision making to a code, a belief, a job, a circumstance, a person, an attitude, then this will feel more like fate. There's life out there and you just react to it. Okay, so the more you own your decisions, the more this becomes your energy and you can own this. So this is the energy of what if you mess up your decisions? What if you do really well on your decisions? And this is kind of where it all like heads. Think of this as a journey, okay? And it's continuously unfolding. Can you see the heart there? I'm trying to make it look like a heart as much as possible, like that, okay? And that's you, poof, 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 beating at the core. And we're going to look at this in a second. It's circumstantial energy. Think of it as weather, and you're going to make the best of it. And you've got the Ace of Cups. Whoa. Okay, Gemini. So this feels like really literally a golden opportunity to get a glimpse, a taste of love in its most luscious, vivid, evidential form. It's like with the aces, I always think of it as like a gift from heaven, and it's very, very fleeting. The energy of opportunity is very, very fleeting. Sometimes it's there and it's extending and it's just waiting for somebody to find it. Um, Sometimes it's very fleeting, and it's so, so important when you get a card like this, and this is the circumstantial energy, and you're actually swimming in the healing power of love. You're actually swimming in love, the energy of heaven. Then obviously the smart thing to do, the smart decision, is to grab it. And of course, if you don't, the angels aren't going to judge you, or they're just going to say, duh, don't you get it? So hopefully, I'm pretty sure, Gemini, you get it. All right. So we may come back to that. We'll see. Deep in the heart, we have, okay, well, you're trying to figure it out. So you might be like intellectually fully aware, or perhaps spiritually or theoretically aware of what we just talked about here. That, let's just say love in its richest, most profound form, the love of self, ultimately the number one form, uh, is there for you. And this is an opportunity for this to happen for you. And like what we were talking about earlier, with the end of this cycle of Saturn and Sagittarius, it might be finally, it's like, especially in the last degrees, it's just like Saturn is grinding and grinding and grinding down on you, Gemini, to finally figure out the last steps in order to get all of this to work for you properly. You might have been grinding on this for years, but right at the end of the month, everything's going to change. All of this is going to change. But in the meantime, the idea is that this is a really amazing opportunity, probably and possibly to do uh, like in the energy of significant relationships, where the final stuff that needs to be learned can be learned and locked down. It's like finishing the end of like a postgraduate thing, or a 4-year college program, or a 2-year college program, and you got to get it all right, and you got to get your papers in, and it's at the last minute, and you've done pretty well, but you still got to get the papers in, and you still got to get the results, and you're going to get the results at the end of the month, okay? So it's kind of full on right now, juggling, figuring out what to do and how to do it, to get everything working when it comes to like the feelings and the emotions, especially as they get reflected back to you through the big important relationships in your life. The figuring out. This is the fine tuning. The heart is almost like saying, it's going boom, 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 boom. We got to do this. Like the clock is ticking, tick, 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 tick. Saturn in Sagittarius is saying, come on, Gemini, you've only got like, whatever it is, 4 weeks left. You got to sort this stuff out. I want to see those papers on my table by the end of the day, at the end of the month. Thank you very much. So you're working at it. Dun, 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 figuring it out step by step, decision by decision, understanding that it is all about decisions. The decision to open the gates, the decision to allow the energy of heaven to flow, the healing power of love to flow. It's a decision, okay? So you get it, you understand it, and you're working at it, okay? Your heart is working very hard at this, okay? What are you bringing in with you? Okay, well, you've probably figured it out, because we're so close to the end of this chapter. With the Saturn and Sagittarius for you, Gemini. I know I'm focusing a lot on that, but it feels really strong right now, because through December, it is going to be really amplified. There's so many planets piling up in your 7th house. It's like you can't avoid it. However, with the Chariot here, it feels to me like you've already got 90% of it figured out. You've been through so much stuff that's been so grueling over the last couple of years, and you figured it out. And it's just you're fine tuning now. You're polishing everything off. You're tidying everything up, doing all the crossing of the T's, the dotting of the I's, so that everything works properly. So you can take ownership of all the shadow aspects of your nature, ownership of all the brilliant goodness of your nature, and put it all into one cohesive being, the one thing that is you. And there is no other you. You are you. There's lots of Geminis, but there's only one you, literally. So this is you coming into your own, determined to make it happen, like pushing and pushing and pushing, determining to succeed. And even if it's like you're running out of breath, and it's, like the finish line is there. You know you're going to make it, okay? You know it. You've already determined. You already know deep in your heart that you've done the really heavy work. And now it's just polishing, cleaning, and tidying to get there. So good on you, Gemini. What about now? Okay. Well, it's a good idea. Like this card has been coming up a lot in readings too. The Page of Pentacles. It's a little bit of a humbling thing here. My feeling is that it's like it might have been a very, very shaky, rattling experience for you over the last couple of years. And now you're really feeling it here in December 2017, where you realize, like going into this a few years ago, wow, how naive was I? How innocent was I? How much work did I need to do? How much did I need to learn? How much did I need to invest? I had no idea. I've done it. I'm doing it. I'm still figuring it out. But this is like the realization. It's just like you taking a last second breather, looking out the window and saying, wow, I've come through a lot. I've done a lot. And there's more to do, because as soon as Saturn moves into Capricorn, a whole new chapter is going to unfold for you. Like in the 8th house, it's going to be all about, oh my gosh, you've just dealt with the energy of significant relationships. Now you're going to be heading, you know it, deep down, like, well, what do we do now that you're inside these significant relationships? Oh, no. That's going into the deep depths of intimacy, okay? That's where Saturn is going. Saturn going into Capricorn, your 8th house. So there's still going to be a lot to learn. It's going to be like starting a whole new PhD all over again, whole new master's, starting a whole new diploma or grad program for matters of the heart, but in a way that's evidential, so that this, the healing power of love, the ultimate expression of love in its full magnitude, is evidential. In other words, you become certified. I'm an expert. I am certified. I'm doing it. I'm going to make it happen. I know I'm going to score. I know I'm going to succeed. And I know I'm going to start all over again with a new program, but it is going to work. I already know that. Thank you very much. I'm a Gemini and I've lived through it all. And that's fine. Thank you very much. So that's a good thing. It's good. It's a good thing to be humble and modest about this. And you don't have to, gloat and, sit there thinking, I've already scored, so I can just relax now. No. It's a never-ending process of learning and growing. And luckily, you understand that. So making the decisions, okay. Nothing but the truth, only the truth, okay? Saturn in Sagittarius is pounding down on you really hard, Gemini, to take full ownership of, let's say, your integrity in this matters. In other words, if Gemini, you have been very, very capable and successful at getting along, at getting by, using your natural born wits and charms and skills and capabilities with fitting in with people and listening and speaking and doing all those things that Gemini is really good at, learning and teaching at the core levels that you do, this is an indication that we're not messing around anymore. We're taking it to the next level, the Sagittarius level, where it's all about, becoming the master. Okay, you are no longer the student, Gemini. You're going to be making the decisions from the perspective of being a master, like having a master. It's like being the authority, the actual person who's been through hell and back and actually knows. Those are the people who really understand. Those are the people who really know. Do you think these King of Swords just got there because they just fell out of a basket? No. You can see that, like with the King of Swords, they've been through hell and back themselves, so they know the truth. They understand it. They are an authority. They are dignified. They have the sovereign ownership of the truth. Very trustworthy. So you're going to make your decisions from that perspective now, and no longer the naive Gemini. Now we are talking about the mature Gemini who's coming out having gone through hell and back. Okay? So really happy for you, Gemini. Of course, it's a lot of pressure, but you can handle it. How are you going to do that? Whoa. This just feels like it's absolute. It makes me feel here with the Ace of Swords here. How are we going to do that in a way that works? It's like kind of like an understanding that what really, 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 really counts is the truth. Truth and honesty, trust, integrity, honor, respect. And now let's just say by the end of the month, you realize that, wow, I really am qualified. I'm actually qualified to speak on this because it's not just a textbook thing that I was reading. I'm living my life by example. I've been through it. I've been through the wars. I've been through it all. And I've learned, and I'm scarred and I'm beat up. But it was worth it. I did the work. I still have work to do, and that's okay. That's part of life. I get it. I'm figuring it out. And the beauty of this is understanding like how truth brings so much clarity and simplicity to life. Seeking, going deep, deep, deep for the truth, digging it out, excavating it like archaeology, and then living it and displaying it, living by example. And it's an opportunity, seeing this as a new opportunity, a new way to live, making all these decisions that you have to make with like full mastery, full integrity, no, no compromises here. In other words, it's almost like Gemini. It's almost like you have to become a Sagittarian, where it's all about. Well, they have their own ways of being, but let's say taking your Gemini faculties to the highest standards, living it out, like to the master's degree, and being that authority and seeing that as a new way of beginning. Like that's just how you're going to continue from here onwards. There's no point in going back to the old you anymore. That's redundant. You're now qualified. So you stay up there. It means making decisions that always are in alignment with the ultimate authority, which is truth. I'm not talking about subjective truth, your convenient truth, your inconvenient, awkward truths or whatever. I'm talking about absolute truths that would apply to anybody, like the law, the commandments, your codes of life. Okay, not just opinions or impressions, but facts and truth. So where does that take us? More swords. Okay, so Gemini, what it can do is take you into a position where you might feel uncomfortable with it because, yeah, you're all qualified and everything, but sometimes it's just like, let's say you're starting out on this new path where there's no going back. You have to live with the crown. You're wearing the crown now, and with great power comes great responsibility. You can't go back and say, I don't want to do this anymore. You've already put so much work in. You've invested so much to become the new, more highly evolved version of you, and you're going to live it out. It's just that, Gemini, you like to have fun. Sometimes it's like, I wish I could just put the crown down. I wish I didn't have to like be all of this and be all of that. Sometimes I just want to, just be silly and have fun. And so what can happen here is, as you reach the end of this cycle, this big cycle by the end of the month, and you realize you're starting a new cycle where you're going to have to live by example with these very high levels of integrity, it could indicate that going forward, it means you're going to constantly have to be the whistleblower on yourself. So if you start feeling like you're slacking off, where you are like tempted to just like, take the easy way out of a situation with easy, comfortable decisions that you might have done as normal before, it's not an option anymore. So it means being eternally vigilant, being the whistleblower on yourself, being the whistleblower, being the truth teller, being the truth caller. Like, if someone's trying to pull the wool over your eyes, no, not acceptable anymore. If you're trying to pull the wool over other people's eyes, not acceptable anymore. The only one thing that counts is integrity and truth and honesty and facts, okay? So, that's a tough role to play. And it's a heavy crown to wear, okay? So, but you can do it because this is your chosen path. And you know that it leads to, this, okay? I'm not saying it's it's very, very simple. It's just always making decisions that always lead to this. But simple is not easy. As you can see from this, simple can be extremely hard to do. Very simple, but it might be very hard to do. So when you're making these decisions, what if you mess up? Okay, well, you still have a chance to figure it out. If you do make healthy decisions that start working for you, you put yourself in a place where you can advance, where you can move on, and you can leave all the redundant, derelict stuff behind because it's just no longer useful. It doesn't have much value anymore. Like, if you're whatever it is you do in life, I'm trying to put an academic perspective on it. I don't have any qualifications in anything, by the way. I don't have any certificates or names or letters after my name or anything. I'm just letting you know Tarot Illumination is redundant in that department. But in your situation, Gemini, it feels to me it's as though you have deliberately put yourself through very challenging situations, partly because you had realized you had no choice. So you lived through it and you're doing a great job and you're going to come out the other side and you're going to continue to be vigilant. Where that takes you is to a realization that this is what you really needed all along. You needed to mature, grow up, advance, and evolve and move on to this higher frequency way of being. So that makes it actually easier for you to, let's say, activate the, the, the energy of love and healing in your life as a life force, okay? By conscious, deliberate decision making, okay? Where does that, well, hold on here. So it's almost like the feeling of leaving behind old ways that didn't work, moving forward with ways that do work, understanding a lot of it is in the mind to do with making these really tough decisions, because that's how you figure it out. You figure out what has to be figured out, and you just go and do it, and you leave behind what does not work, and you move forward with what does work, because there's so much peace and tranquility with truth. It's so much more satisfying in life, and it's so much easier to allow the healing power of love to flow when you simply come from the truth, okay? Everything else that is not the truth is essentially an obstruction, like lint or clogged up drains or whatever, that stop it flowing. Why would you do that? You know better now. Where does this take us? Okay. It's almost like it becomes your job. It's almost like it becomes your day job now to be living by example, like the new, more highly evolved Gemini. It becomes your day job. That's who you are now. You're certified, you're licensed, you are this awesome, newer, better person, whatever it is. Being a parent, being a teacher, being a student, being a communicator, being a worker, being an employer, being an employee, instructing people, communicating, whatever it is, you're just better at it than before, and it becomes a practice. Like how people do yoga practice. It just becomes a daily practice. So it's a constant vigilance of doing the work every single day, almost like brushing your teeth. I'm trying to make it very mundane now. It's very simple. Once you've gone through all the work and what you have to do, pretend it's like, I had to deal with some huge heart issues recently. Pretend you are now a fully qualified cardiologist. You don't have to go through 4 years of training each time you do a new heart open operation. You just go and do it because that's your job now, because you're fully certified and you're living by example. Okay? Same thing. You have evolved to this point now where being this new, more advanced, more loving, more self-loving version of yourself, that's just your regular day job. That's who you are now. That's what you do. You go out the front door and you do that. You have a great day. You invest regularly with very healthy, regular practices that work for you. And then you face forward into the future, realizing that there's always going to be more work to do. Okay? You can still have a party and have fun whenever you want, but ultimately, love is as love does, and it's work, and it's worth it. Okay? It's really, really worth it, Gemini. And you're going to be taking this. This is very good for you to take into 2018, by the way. Understand, because this is going to be very closely aligned with the Saturn and Capricorn energy. So it's really lining up very well for you. Okay, Gemini, thank you so much. Please make the best of it. If it sounds like gobbledygook, watch for your sun, moon, and rising, and then reinterpret. Okay, that's all I'm saying. All right, bye-bye. Thank you so much.